Welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of our Colorado Tesla road trip adventure. Today we're headed up to Grand Lake, Colorado with my parents, and we're going to stay up there and then drive through Rocky Mountain National Park. But first things first, we got to get packed up and we got to get ready to go. So let's see how much we can fit in the back of the Model 3. Come on. So we have got to fit all of this stuff. And more. There's another cooler coming in there. It'll be like playing Tetris, but in real life. I guess let's start with the awkward heavy things first. It is actually kind of amazing how much stuff you can fit in this car. With that in there, we had to take that bag out. Let's see if it even closes. And the answer is no. That'll go on its side.
Up this?
Yeah.
Oops. Oh.
If we flip this around, it'll fit. And it latches. All right, so looking at a better route planner, we can easily make our destination without charging. However, because we are not going to have adequate charging once we get on site and there won't be a supercharger nearby, we want to make sure that we end up there at a state of charge a bit higher than the 22% it's predicting. So to do that, we're going to go back. We're going to edit our settings and we're going to say we need to end up with at least a 50% state of charge on arrival. Hit done and let's see what it tells us. And there we go. As expected, we're going to have one supercharging stop in Idaho Springs, and we will probably be there for 12 minutes. It should be a very short stop, but that'll get us enough so that we don't arrive on empty. Minor Street, Idaho Springs, there it is. Okay. What's our state of charge going to be? 53%. That's pretty high. And there's some big elevation changes once we get there on the second half. So it looks like around mile 80, we're going to be going up a hill quite a bit. But nothing we can't handle. So we just pulled into the Idaho Springs Supercharger at 52%. We won't need to be here long, so let's get plugged in. All right, there we go, 89 kilowatt. This is a version 3 supercharger, so we should be able to get up to 250, but since we're so high in the pack, that is probably not going to be the case. So we should probably go out and grab a snack or something. All right, we ended up with nearly a full charge while we ate lunch at a really cool little microbrew nearby. So let's get unplugged, and I think my mom and dad will be on the way shortly, and we'll be off. So our next destination will be Grand Lake. And we'll end up there with 77%, which will be fantastic because we're not going to have much charging other than a standard Edison outlet up there. That'll give us the freedom to move around a bit and not worry too much about charging out there. And then we should have enough left to continue our trip onto Estes Park later on this week. right, we've made it to Grand Lake, and we arrived at a 75% state of charge, which is a good thing because the lodge has asked us not to charge on the 20 amp outlet outside. It's always a good idea to ask, and we're going to honor that and not charge. Now, there is a level 2 charger, a short walking distance from here that we'll use. And later on in the week, closer to our departure, we will drive the car down there, plug in, and charge to 90% on that before we make our next leg of the journey up to Estes Park. Now, one of the crazy things that's happened today, Tesla has had a major outage on their network, which has caused my car to throw a warning saying that it can't supercharge because I haven't submitted payment. Well, that's obviously not the case. I have 2 cards on file. It seems a lot of people are having this issue. Luckily, we've already done our supercharging for the day and this doesn't affect us. One of the things that we do need to do is we need to sign into Wi-Fi because there is a software update available. Now, for some reason, that is not working on premium connectivity for me. It is forcing me to be connected to Wi-Fi. We will troubleshoot that later, but I do have an LTE router set up that will allow us to pull that update down. So let's go ahead and get that connected. So I am going to connect to my Mophie. Alright, the update is downloading. That looks like it's going to take a while. The other thing that we are going to do is we are going to flip Sentry mode on since we are kind of out in the middle of nowhere. At safety and security, and we're going to flip Sentry mode on. So Sentry mode is running, and we will leave the car here unplugged overnight, actually probably for a couple nights, to do its thing and update. Alright, we're off to the local charge point station here at Grand Lake. There is a 2-stall charge point for the entire area, and it has been in use most of the day. There's been a Model 3 Performance and a Bolt that have been here, but it looks like it's just opened up, so we are going to snag it, and then we're going to top up so that we are ready to go tomorrow morning when we leave to go through Rocky Mountain National Park. Open the frunk. Connect to the station, and we are going to activate it. Here it goes, it just unlocked. Pop the Tesla adapter on. And it's handshaking now. So it looks like we may have to unlock the charge port and try again. It is not liking something. We're going to try this once more. So it took us a couple attempts. We had to switch stalls for some reason. I don't know why. That stall worked yesterday. But we are charging, and we'll leave it to charge for a couple hours. While we're walking down to pick up the car, it just hit 90% on the level 2 charge point station down here. It's a little ways away, but it's not too bad. Let's get everything unplugged. See if we have any Sentry mode events. Gotta grab that adapter. And we're done. And there we go. 90% state of charge. No Sentry mode events. Let's pull this thing over to the hotel. We'll let it sit overnight and we'll be ready to head off in the morning. So one thing we discovered is that you always want to check where you're going in these weird and strange times, because Rocky Mountain National Park has this thing now to where if you want to arrive after 6 a.m., you have to reserve a time slot to get into the park. Well, we didn't know about that, and all the time slots are sold out clear through next week. So our only chance to make it through to Estes Park is to hit it early, get in there before 6 a.m., And then once we're in the park, we're clear to do whatever we want. So, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Oh, good morning, everyone. So it looks like we lost about 4% of our battery to Sentry mode and heating the battery and other things last night, which seems like a fair bit, but we are more than set for our journey through Rocky Mountain National Park this morning. You want to say hi to the camera?
A bit sleepy. Hi.
Alright, so check this out. We went up, we used quite a lot of power getting up. Looks around 800 watt hours per mile on the ascent. But look at all that green on the descent. So lots and lots of region going up and down this mountain pass. We are on the other side of Rocky Mountain National Park, but still within the park boundaries. And luckily for us, this is a Parks on the Air entity. So we're going to set up a quick little amateur radio station and see if we can make 10 contacts and activate the park. We are going to start with the Wolf River coils simply because it's easier to deploy and does not require throwing into a tree. So as you can see here, I've attached my radials. I've got these 3D printed spools for the radials to the base. And let's go get that base. Let's hook the coax up and get that base deployed. So we did have to move our antenna a little bit. I think I had a bad piece of coax, replaced it. We're doing fine. We're tuned up on 40 meter. So I am pulling up the park number now. CQ Parks on the Air, CQ Parks on the Air. This is Kilo 4 November Alpha Sierra calling CQ Parks on the Air from K0059 Rocky Mountain National Park. CQ Parks on the Air, CQ Parks on the Air. This is Kilo. I'm not having a whole lot of luck out here with sideband this morning. I have no idea what the band conditions are like, but I'm not hearing a whole lot of other stations either. So we're gonna try and stick a choke at the end of the antenna, and then we will go to FT8 to see what's there, and if that doesn't work, we'll call it a failure. Well, it looks like this one's going to end in a failure. You know, when FT8 doesn't show anything, you know the band is truly dead. Or I've got other problems, and anyway, I don't want to keep the rest of our convoy waiting here for me to troubleshoot an amateur station, so we're going to call this one a failed activation, and with that, I'm going to say 73, and back to the trip. So we have made it to the Stanley Hotel, which is our final stop of the trip before we head back to my parents' place in Colorado Springs. So after an exciting day of sightseeing, driving through Rocky Mountain National Park, failing a POTA activation and lots of sightseeing, we are down to 54% state of charge. Now, there is a supercharger on site here at the Stanley Hotel, but since we are staying overnight, there is a better option. There are 2 Tesla wall connectors and 2 Tesla J1772 adapters as well. So we're gonna plug in and leave the car here and juice it up. So here's the Tesla wall connectors, and more interestingly is the Tesla branded J1772 charger that's here on site. Works and feels just like a wall connector, except it's a standard level 2 charger. Anyway, we're here for this, so let's get it plugged in. And it just clicked, and we're charging. Good morning, everyone. So it is our final day of our trip through Rocky Mountain National Park and Estes Park. So check out this cool sign they had here for the supercharger at the Stanley Hotel. It's a fairly nice stall, version 2 supercharger. So we didn't need it because they have destination charging on site, and that is definitely, for us, that is free, and free is definitely better. We should be at a 95% state of charge right now, which is more than enough to get us back to Colorado Springs. But I'll take the free power from the destination charger whenever I can. And we've been pulling about 200 volts at 48 amps, which has been giving us 9 kilowatt, which is fantastic for a level 2 charger. It's been more than enough to get us juiced up, so we don't need the supercharger. Anyway, let's get unplugged. There we go, 95%. That's definitely more than we need, but it is a bit chilly outside, so I'll take the extra charge so we can run the heat without worrying. This is something really interesting. It got cold last night, and you can see that there's a little bit of ice in the vent. You can hear it kind of crackling a bit, so don't know if that's gonna be bad for us or not. Hopefully, with it being as dry as it is out here, that it will just evaporate and it will not be an issue. So we had to stop at Micro Center in Denver, and I have to say, this place is awesome. Everything you need to build a PC, electronic kits, maker supplies, 3D printers, all of it. This place is definitely worth a stop.
We're good?
Yep, so you're gonna drive it back home?
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully.
So I think autopilot's a little confused. It thinks that truck's pointing the wrong direction because its containers don't extend to the end of the trailer. There you have it. We're back to Colorado Springs, so we'll get plugged in real quick. There's a 30 amp 240 volt outlet in my parents' garage we can charge off of. That'll give us about 6 kilowatt. That is more than enough for the little bit of city driving and stuff like that that'll happen over the next few days. And then we'll be able to do a full charge before we leave back to Nashville, which you won't want to miss that in part 3, which is coming up next. So make sure you're subscribed and that you're notified, and make sure you also hit the like button so that the YouTube algorithm can recommend these videos for other people. Well, let's get plugged in and we will see you later.